Cost of living's ridiculous. Wealth transfer is even off the charts. It's off the chain. And before I get into it, two things I really want to say. I don't have a sense of self-entitlement. I've worked a lot in my life. Quite often I've worked 2 jobs. I've owned a business. I worked a second job to minimise my business tax so I didn't have a business bill that I couldn't pay. But I never got a tax return either. For 10 years. That's not big note to myself, it's just quite often I've worked 2 jobs, so I've paid a lot of tax over the years. So I don't feel self-entitled. Secondly, because I'm a single full-time parent with a teenage daughter and a young adult son with mild autism, who's finally learning to read, I'm required to be at home because there's nobody else to do the job, and I do not leave that to the state. Why? Because that's just more money out of the taxpayer's pocket. So I want to say thank you. First of all, to all the people that work hard to pay taxes, to support us, people who need who genuinely actually need it, thank you. And people like me, start adding some value to your community. Just show some thanks. Like I go across the road and mow the ladies' lawns now and then. Why? Because she works. Thanks to her, it makes my life a bit easier. Thanks to her, I don't have to worry about a roof over my head and food on the table. Not too much, at least. Which brings me to this. Yes, I can still do old school. Scruffy, look at I know. My addition, wrong subtraction. This is a budget. When I say a budget, I haven't even added into my costings yet. So over a 2-week period, I get, these are my payments. I get a carer's allowance, a carer's payment, an energy supplement, a pension supplement, family tax benefit Part A, family tax benefit Part B, and rent assistance. Which brings me to a grand total of $2,020 for 2 weeks. Sounds like a bit of money, I know. But because of the privatisation, and this is why it's so much, and it's ridiculous. I feel bad that I get this much. I feel bad that this much comes out of the tax purse. Rent, $650 a fortnight. Energy for power. To not even be able to keep the place warm in winter, I'm spending $100 a week on power. In summer I catch up and get a little bit ahead. Come winter I'm back behind by the end of winter again. It's a never-ending cycle that way. Drives me nuts. We've got a 3-bedroom house. One of them stupid things. It's not even a heat pump. They call it a heat pump. No, it's an inverter. It's a compromise of a heat pump and an air conditioner. So it doesn't do either job really that well. Internet, another $35, which we're forced to have, whether we like it or not, and we get the privilege to pay for that. I get 2 advance payment loans a year that come out of, it's a small amount out of each payment. Now I pay a little bit more than I have to. I pay $129 off one and $82 off another one. I'm only required to pay like $60 or something off them, but I pay a little bit more so that I have a little breather period before I'm due for the next one to get, which I use at Christmas time, during the holidays, for their birthdays, that sort of thing, or to get something that we need, like some furniture, like a couch, second hand. Yeah, I have a few toys and, you know, I go without and I save to have those. Actually, a lot of that is what I have from when I was working and had a business. A lot of what I have, I've had for a long, long time. That drum kit that you just seen there is almost 20 years old. This guitar is almost 20 years old. That keyboard's my daughter's. I bought it for her. Thank you. My daughter's just coming home now. I'll be with you in a minute, sweetheart. You right? Yeah. I'll be with you in a sec. And I'll do tea. I'm in the middle of the video. So, new clothes. Well, they left in the door. Daniel, you made me leave the keys in the door. Yeah, I'll blame him. Yeah, by the time all costings are taken out, I'm left with $924 per fortnight to feed me, my adult son, and my teenage daughter, and whatever other needs we have, clothing, that sort of stuff. Now, I'm not whinging, like I said, thank you. I'm grateful. But what annoys me is the wage transfer, and every time we get an increase in our rent assistance or payment, our rent goes up. Everything is calculated in any centre pay. Anything that we pay automatically is calculated from our gross, what they call gross income. I call it income. I don't call it pay. I call it a benefit. It's not a payday. You earn pay. Taxes come out of pay. So that people can have a benefit. It's a benefit, okay? I'm grateful for it. When you look at it, rent for $650 a fortnight for a 50, 60-year-old house that was paid for out of the Commonwealth Housing Trust of Australia, which is money that I put in when I was working flat out. That's why I say to people, no, I own this house. You're not going to get me out of it in a hurry. Why? My taxes paid for this house. I built this house. I paid for it. Over the years, I've paid for it. While people have been in and out of it, not respecting it, treating it like fucking dirt. Now, these houses, the rent is calculated off the full base rate of other houses that are brand new in this area. Brand new. We're charged at the same rate for these dirty old houses that originally had wood heaters. Those things do not heat. They do nothing. These houses were designed to have a wood heater, not an inverter that doesn't do anything for the house. If anything, it creates mould. For me to buy this house will cost me, they said I could buy it for about $280,000, nearly $300,000. Now that's not too bad, I suppose, but when you consider the fact that most of the house will have to have gyprock repair, all the floors redone, all the doors have to be replaced because all the core flutes inside the doors gone. They're all wobbly, and I'm probably going to have to fix the front door frame myself because I keep sending some, rather, no disrespect for the man, he's a nice bloke, but the maintenance people they use, they're not builders. He's just a Mr. Fix-It who's probably just going to come and stick a couple of screws up through the bottom of the doorstep up into the frame and that might hold it in. I don't call that security, sorry. We can't get fences repaired or replaced. Apparently for us to have a fence fixed or repaired or replaced, like to have a fence replaced, we got to pay for it ourselves out of our own money. Why? If we don't own the houses, why should... Okay? Now what really shits me is the amount that we pay for this is because it's in administration of a private company called Housing Choices, which is ran out of Queen Street in Melbourne. I've been doing my research in this. I've been doing a bit of background checking up. There are a bunch of CEOs. Here we go. I'll even get them up on here. I'll splat some names at you. Why not? Keyboard. Right. Housing Choices Administration. Tasmania Housing Choices. It's not what I wanted. Oh, that's what's going on there. I'm not in Google. I'm in Yahoo. Yahoo don't work. Woohoo! Right. Housing Choices CEO Administration. Right. Team Housing Choices Australia. David Fisher, Australian Housing Institute. Housing Choices Australia, our team Housing Choices. So we have Simeon Goldenberg, Catherine Brown, Drew Beswick, Chris Leishman, David Lansk, Matt Rayson, Rebecca Storm, Katrina Smithson, Michael Lennon, Hannah Harvey, Jesse Agbinya, Andrew Ross, Salman Kudri, James Henry, Lynn Jensen, Mark Haywood. So that's 4, 8, 12, 16. It's 16 people on the board of Housing Choices that we're not allowed to contact. We have no way of contacting. We cannot resolve anything. Even our property managers cannot resolve anything. It's an awful lot of money of your taxpayers, from you taxpayers. This is what really, really pisses me off. There's an awful lot of money from you taxpayers that's going into these people's pockets for us to not even be able to contact them. I'll give you a look at them. Huh? Bunch of diversity, equity, inclusivity people if I ever saw them. What really, really annoys me is that mismanaging the place. Something chronic. Why are we paying so much rent when we've got Homes Tasmania, and I'm guessing it's the same Australia-wide with all the other states who are under the administration of Housing Choices, which is a private corporation of CEOs, which I'll chew me left arm off if it's not connected to BlackRock in a wealth transfer racket, that also fund the tenants' union, the state tenants' unions. So when a property manager has got a bad tenant that's not doing the right thing by the home or the community, and they want to evict them or they want reparations, they go to court. It goes to the Supreme Court, all funded by Homes Tasmania, to pay for the tenants' union to fight it in court, and then it gets overturned, and then the property manager's like left standing there looking like an idiot. This is what's going on. What the hell? Seriously. Houses are getting trashed, left to ruins, yards chock-a-block full of garbage and rubbish everywhere. Now we've got the council, which is compounded on top of that with halving the garbage collection that our rent pays for. Just because we don't own the place doesn't mean we don't pay rates. When you think about it, we pay them more rates than anybody else. Because how many properties are in Burnie privately owned? What single property developer would own more property than Homes Tasmania under administration of a private entity? A foreign private entity, I would say, because it's not the Commonwealth Housing Trust of Australia, which is the Commonwealth that built it, that paid for it. In other words, you and me, we own these places outright as a gesture of goodwill to help those in need. Now those in need have become in need indefinitely, forever. These have to be our forever homes now, whether we like it or not. It was never actually designed to be that. So what used to be publicly owned by the Commonwealth is something to tackle homelessness and broken families and stuff has been captured, privatised, and turned into a socialist a socialist ideology, a socialist agenda that people are capitalising off. It's capitalist socialism. Privatised capitalist socialism. Wow. How do you privatise socialism? I guess they found a way to do it. Because the definition of socialism, for a great example, would be our public libraries, our public education, our firefighting service, our health service, what used to be our police service, which is now a privatised corporation, which is now a business model that relies on economic turnover. It has to turn a profit in order to be viable. So don't tell me that they don't have quotas to meet. Of course they do. That's how they get their funding, which is why they keep scraping the bottom of the barrel and busting the same people over and over and over again. It means they can get their funding without having to actually work for it, and keeps themselves viable because the drugs just keep flowing. Anyway, that's another story, sort of, because it happens more in our demographic areas than it does anywhere else, than it does in, say, Shearwater, which used to be a lovely little country town, which is full of hobnobs now. Hawley Beach used to be holiday shacks and camping grounds. Now it's full of mansions. It disgusts me. This really, really disgusts me that I actually had my property manager complain to me. They have a different name now, I can't remember what it was, but basically, and she's admitted, all they are is data collection, a data collection office. All they do is collect everyone's data. There's nothing they can do to actually manage property. Good luck evicting someone, they can't. As long as someone keeps promising to do better, they never get evicted, ever. I actually don't know what it would take to get evicted, which pisses me off big time, because there are so many people that do not deserve these homes, and there are so many people out there that do and don't have a home. So this is a case of where charity is robbing from those in need and giving to those who don't deserve. If this doesn't boil your soup, fry your bacon, I don't know what it'll take. If you really, really want to fix the homelessness crisis in this country, because I'm also watching the amount of immigration just in this little area here, in little old Shorewell Park in Burnie, Tasmania. We've got a lot of Indian people now, a lot of Asian people, a lot of people from, and please don't take this as anti-Semitic or anything like that, or as a religious smite. We've got a lot of Hindu and Muslims. I don't care. I actually don't care, because a traditional Muslim or a traditional Hindu aren't too bad. They're a little bit toffee-nosed in the sense that their religion's better than whatever. Okay, that's if you want to be religious. But I've actually found most of them actually to be quite okay people, except for the ones that I see going shopping on a Sunday evening all together. And I look around and there's like 3 or 4 women, half a dozen kids, and a whole bunch of military-aged men that look quite capable, and you don't see them out often. Another small thing that bothers me on that, I know it's a bit of a sidetrack, but there were people that came here under skilled labour visas to work at places like Madar in Penguin that are now working for Belong and in our telecommunications sector. They came here to Madar. I know, I've met one personally. Quite a few times we've spoken. He's a nice enough guy, but threat to national security much? A possible one. I'm not saying he is. We've got to start getting serious about these things at the moment, don't we? We can't just take shit for granted. But anyway, I digress. What do these people do? What do these 16 people actually do to add any value to our country? What do they actually do other than collect money and get salary increases every time unemployed people get a rise in their benefits to cover the cost of living? And they just take it. Now, like I say, I'm left with $924 a fortnight to feed the three of us, clothe the three of us, help with education, and have some kind of a life for them, some kind of normality. As soon as my son's able to spend days on his own or do some work, I'm going back to work. I miss work. But I'm working with him and a tutor twice a week, and so that he can learn to read. He's autistic, okay? He needs that help. He needs that support, and you just can't leave him here by himself all day, every day. That's just cruel. And I'm not leaving him in the hands of NDIS, because that will cost you a damn sight more than what this does. I care, because I care. I don't pretend to care because I get paid to. Big difference. NDIS it's a racket, as far as I'm concerned. An absolute racket. Should never have been invented. NDIS has been as big a scourge on this country as the baby bonus, creating a bunch of unwanted kids. A bunch of kids having kids who don't know how to raise kids, didn't give a shit about their kids, and use their kids' baby bonuses to kick on, buy ounces of pot, 8 balls of crack, VN Commodores with a weldy dip that done fully mad skids, bro. I know, because I know, okay? I'm part of that generation. I've lived on the left side of the track, the right side of the track, the middle of the track, my own path. I've wandered from the path. I've been everywhere, all over the place. I've lived in various different states. So I'm not talking from the arse. I'm talking from actual experience, lived experience. And as you can see, I do the research. So, when are you going to jack up about it? I jack up about it all the time. I write letters all the time. You can get hold of these guys on LinkedIn. I've managed to send some of them some messages on LinkedIn, and one actually came from the mainland to this office, wouldn't talk to anybody, grabbed all their paperwork and left again. I don't know what come of that. But we can't blame the property managers because they're not allowed to do their job. They want to do their job. They go to court and get made look like fools. Everything they're trying to do the right thing by the communities gets overturned by their own bosses, by Homes Tasmania. Homes Tasmania funds the tenants union, and the tenants union is just a bunch of DEI bureaucratic fucking idiots that are quite happy to just keep fighting for community disruptors, junkies that trash their houses and cause disruption with the community and keep absolute garbage properties. They get houses and just wreck them. They do nothing but take from communities. They add no value whatsoever. I'm not talking about everyone. But it only takes a couple of handfuls of people here and there. Next thing you know, nobody decent wants to live in the area, and you end up with nobody but scumbags. That's just what happens. I've watched people live here for 2 or 3 months and fuck this. They're out of here. They go back and live with their mum or something. Rather than they go and put themselves back in the caravan in their mum and dad's backyard with kids rather than live here. because neighbours go in their backyards and steal their kids' toys, their kids' bikes. Why? Well, how does that come about? Well, that comes down to policing. Their priorities are all fucked up. They're so busy worrying about whether you might be carrying a pocket knife at 50 odd years old, which I've carried a pocket knife every day of my life since I was about 7. They're worried about being road pirates and raising revenue in their little business model police force that apparently needs an American business number. There's an Australian business number, but that traces back to an American business number. Why is that? Well, you only need an ABN for tax purposes. A business needs an ABN, not a public service. Everything's been privatised and you're paying for it. You're paying for money to go into the pockets of people like this. It doesn't make its way back into the community. These are foreign interests. It does not make its way back into our tax system. We're being robbed. We've been being robbed for decades. You're being robbed. I've been robbed. So, when people want to talk about self-entitlement, because I've had a few people sort of act that way with me, and I don't... F-bomb warning, like your ears, I don't fucking appreciate it. I left school in grade 9 to do an apprenticeship. I've got 3 trades. I'm also a farmhand. I've got certificate 2 in agriculture. You don't get all those things from sitting on your ass being a bum. I've earned my little bit of a ride. Not a free ride, I already earned it in advance. There's your entitled people. There's your self-entitled people, everyone. Hey? These are the bums. These are the bludgers. Hey? About the only thing they've ever hurt themselves doing in their life at work is getting the fucking pins and needles in their arse cheeks and sitting in a fucking chair. This dude here, I don't know what it is with that guy, Drew Beswick. I look at him and I think, geez, I see a weasel. And that guy, he looks like one of them dodgy lawyers that just rolled over on you and made $1,000 doing it. I don't know. All I see when I look at those people are people who hand around brown paper bags. That receive brown paper bags. So, if you want to voice your anger at why we have a homelessness problem in this country, and you really want to, point your finger at someone, it's the bureaucrats. You can whinge and bitch at the government all you like. The government has no power over the bureaucrats. Because the bureaucrats filibuster, they stymie, they talk around in circles. They have lawyers that create loopholes for them to jump through so that they can pass the buck onto another bureaucratic office that puts it back into a loop. So it's round and round in circles. It actually doesn't have a resolve. How do they resolve it? They create another bureaucrat office. It's a self-serving system that feeds off of us. The only way we're going to fix it is if we walk away from all of it. We'd stop feeding it. We've got to stop feeding it. You keep feeding a parasite, it's not going to let go of you. She'll stay latched onto you. It's the only way to get rid of a parasite. You've got to find a way to kill it or starve it off you. Starve it to death. A parasite won't feed off of something that gets like a bloodsucker. It drops off when it's got no blood left or it's chock-a-block full. And that don't happen often. You've got to find the way to stop feeding it. Now, how do we do that? We strike. Just strike. Just stop going to work. Not even stop going to work. How about employers say, fuck yous, we're not paying tax anymore. Governor General, dissolve Parliament. Governor General, you need to dissolve Parliament. We're going to continue working, we're going to continue paying my workers, and my workers can get the tax money instead of giving it to you. And the business can absorb your payroll tax so that we can grow our industry and actually create wealth for toil. It's common sense.